Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to You Can Talk. This is the ABCs of tongue types. And this morning we are going to be talking about the juggernaut. The juggernaut, for many of you all who may not be familiar, is basically was a character that's been used in a lot of the X-Men Marvel comics for years. So the juggernaut looks pretty much looks like what that character is on my thumbnail, and it's often a term that's used a lot in football. They will talk about the other team as juggernauts. So that is that is kind of where that term comes from. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, hold on just one second. Let me get my phone so that I can see the chat this morning. I hope everyone is well. It is Friday, and I am super excited about that. It's always good, and many of you may be having a long weekend. I know I do. We'll be honoring Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So that is a holiday that I get at my job. So hopefully you all get that too, but if not, still have to go in. All right, so when we're talking about the juggernaut, I'm basically talking about that person who is intimidating, the intimidator. Intimidation can be a big problem when we are trying to create healthy relationships, because if you are intimidating, or if you're talking with someone who makes you feel intimidated, it can be difficult to express the things that you need to say because there's typically some fear involved. Intimidation is nothing but fear. Intimidation, if you're the intimidator, is basically when you're trying to force someone to do something that you want them to do, or force them to feel or respond or act in a way that you want them to act. And a lot of times it is against their will. And because we're trying to impose something upon them that they may not want to do. And it typically comes across in a threatening way. So that is what a juggernaut is, that intimidating, that when that intimidation factor is in the picture of your conversation. Good morning, true fan, to you. Good to see you. Welcome. Good morning. I hope you have a beautiful day. So you're fearful that some sort of injury may come to you, or some level of harm may come to you. That is what that's what we're talking about this morning. So what happens when that type of intimidation is involved in your conversation? Good morning, Levi Boy. Good morning, Bio 11. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a minute since I've seen you. Welcome in this morning. Happy Friday to you all. I appreciate you being here so early in the morning. Thank you. So we're talking about the intimidator this morning. I'm well. I'm well. You know, it's one day at a time for me. It's one day at a time. So for those of you who may not know, we had quite a bit of loss in my family. So, you know, if anyone has lost their parents, then you know that it is very difficult. But, you know, one day at a time, I feel their strength. I feel their energy. And, you know, I carry on and move forward. So thank you for asking, Bio 11. I appreciate that. So we're talking about the intimidator this morning, when people feel intimidated in their conversations, in their relationships with people, and what that brings to the conversation. When people feel intimidated, typically they will either compromise in a ways that they don't want to. They will either, good morning, Just Teresa, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome this morning. People they will try to reason, you know, with the person, begin this act of sort of defending yourself when you're intimidated, or you'll try to avoid the person altogether, because if you're really intimidated, a lot of times you're afraid you don't even want to have conversation with the person. So the intimidator may get what they want, but it'll probably come at a cost. You might lose respect. The person you're talking to may become resentful and not want to, have conversations with you, or it may begin to look for ways to conspire against you. So you don't want to, if at all possible, come across as an intimidator. And most people don't want to feel intimidated when they're talking with someone. So we're going to talk about those two things this morning, how we can work to not be intimidating if that tends to be an issue that you have in your relationships, or if you're the opposite, if you often feel intimidated by others, some things that you can do to help make yourself feel less that way. Here's something, though, that people don't always realize, is that the intimidator does not always realize that they are intimidating. There are a lot of things that can cause people to feel intimidated, and sometimes the intimidator doesn't even know it. Now, we do get those people who are intentionally trying to make us feel intimidated because they want us to, respond the way they want us to respond. But sometimes it can be different things that can cause a person to be intimidating. Their height, for instance, like I'm 5'10". So when I stand up next to, especially women who are shorter than 5'10", I'm often intimidating to them just because of my height, so it can be a person's age. You will often see sometimes that younger people will feel a little more intimidated when they're around someone who's a lot older. Good morning, Cullen. How are you? Welcome. Happy Friday to you. It can be just their size. If you're a very big person, you can make a person feel very intimidated just by, if you're a very small, petite person, your skin color, your status. If you're someone who's well known in the community or, in the world, then if you see that person, you're going to feel somewhat intimidated. Your education, your culture, all kinds of things, just your family, the type of family that you come from. If you have a family that's well known, then that can make you feel intimidated. Your zip code, your job, your career, things that you do. When people find out that oh, yes, I am. I didn't know you were 5'9", Teresa. Yes, I'm 5'10". Yeah, so I'm as tall as the average male. So typically I'm, looking males in the eye when I talk to them. And most men aren't intimidated, but sometimes they are. If it's a shorter male, they will be. I do, and I actually, work with people who are much shorter than me. So, but they don't feel intimidated. But I do have a tendency when noticing that when I'm standing next to, men that are shorter than me, they tend to, feel a certain kind of way about it. But, and especially women, sometimes they're like, oh, wow, you're so tall. You're so tall. And I'm like, yes, I'm tall. And, people who are tall, you're just used to it. We don't go around and say, you're so short. You're so short. So you just get used to it. It just becomes a part of life. But yeah, I don't think twice about it anymore. But I realized what people feel like when I'm standing next to them, when someone who's taller than me, like when I see a 6-foot woman standing next to me, or someone, taller than 6 feet, I'm like, oh, wow. Then that's the only time I get that perspective how people feel when I'm standing next to them and they're much shorter than me. If they're 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", I realize that, I'm quite tall to them. But so yeah, all kinds of stuff. Your words, your voice, anything can make a person feel intimidated, and you don't even know why. You're like, what is going on? Why is this person, seemingly responding to me in an uncomfortable way? And a lot of times it's because they're feeling intimidated, and people don't always know, why a person is intimidated. You experience that too, just yeah, it's very common. It's very common. Cullen says, I totally agree. I've had my bass voice since I was about 12. Oh, wow. And I've always been big. Yes. Especially when I was about 300 pounds. Yes. It really intimidated. Yes. If you're 6 feet and 300 pounds, yeah, people are going to be intimidated without a doubt. So yeah, it's very common for people to feel that way. And so we're going to talk about some different things that we can do if people are often intimidated by you, or if you're often intimidated by others. We're going to talk about some things that we can do to incorporate in our conversations when we're talking with people, so that we can try to ease that discomfort that can often come into a conversation. Now, if you're doing this intentionally, if you're trying to intimidate people intentionally, that's another story. If you're trying to have a healthy relationship and your intention is to not make people feel intimidated, we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do. First, you want to look at, if you're the intimidator, what the problem is, because like I said, sometimes we don't know why people are often intimidated by us. And if you don't know, then you want to try to figure out what it is that's causing that. Sometimes it is your voice. Like you say, if you have that deep bass voice and a commanding voice when you walk in the room, for sure, people are going to take a step back like, whoa, because your voice is so commanding. And people aren't always used to that. And so you'll have to learn sometimes how to adjust your voice. So try to find out what it is that's causing the intimidation. Just Teresa says, when I was young, I cared about being a tall girl. But as an adult, yes, it wasn't even a thought. Absolutely. Yeah. When I was young, and still to this day, I'll catch myself if I'm standing next to taking a picture with someone, or if I'm standing next to someone who's really short, I'll see myself kind of, crouch my shoulders or seem shorter. But typically, if I'm taking a picture with someone who's really short, I will sit down. I will get in a sitting position and then let them stand up, because usually they're just kind of right where my head is, and so we don't look so. Sometimes. So that's something that I'll do sometimes, just to feel more comfortable, or make the other person feel more comfortable. So yeah, I've learned, when you're tall, you learn things to adjust. But other than that, yeah, I don't walk around feeling self-conscious about my height. For the most part, I don't. Now, it's just something you get used to. So figure out what the problem is. If you are intentionally trying to be intimidating, ask yourself why. Is it me? Is there some self-doubt that I'm feeling? Is there a need for assurance? Why do we want people to feel intimidated by us? Why is there that need for us to want people to feel intimidated by us, so that we can get our way, so that we can have control? Whatever it is, you want to ask yourself, why do I need to feel that? Because we want to be able to people to feel comfortable around us, because the more comfortable people feel, the more willing they are to talk to us and share with us and connect with us. And that is our intention, is to connect and relate to people, so that we can have meaningful, respectful conversations. Yes, everyone, please hit that like button if you're coming in. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Teresa, for that reminder. I often forget to ask people to do that. So be intentional in showing respect, because we want people to respect us out of care and out of kindness and out of integrity. We don't want people to respect us out of fear. Right? Because that's a different kind of respect. It's one thing for people to respect you just because they're afraid of you. And is that really respect? Right? But it's another thing for people to respect you because they think you are, a good, kind-hearted person of integrity, caring, whatever, considerate person. And that's the kind of respect that we want people to have for us, not that other kind of fear respect. So be intentional. Sometimes we have to choose our words. So like Cullen, for instance, you said when you were big and tall, heavier, and your voice was deeper, you want to choose your words. Maybe you want to be careful in how you choose your words, or your tone, or how you share your words, right? You can walk into a room and say something and be very mean and be very innocent in what you're saying, but yet it comes across as, oh my goodness, they're nervous. You can make them nervous just because of what you said. So sometimes I'm sure you've had to find yourself adjusting how you say something, or the particular words that you use when you're talking to people. Want to be careful not to use criticism or judgment or threats, making threats, even things that can come across as threatening. Those types of words tend to make people feel intimidated, or if you feel very intimidated. Something that I do, especially if you're tall, and even if you're short and you feel intimidated, something that I do when I'm standing next to people is I try to keep distance, because that tends to help people's perspective. It's one thing when you have a short person and a tall person standing right next to each other, but one person is having to look up and the other person is having to look down. But when you keep a little bit of distance between yourselves, then it feels more like you're looking eye to eye. So when I'm communicating with people who are shorter in stature than I am, I tend to keep a little distance between them so they don't feel, like I'm towering over them. And if you're short, that's something you can do as well. You can sort of back up and, put a little distance between you, and it changes your perspective, and it kind of makes you feel like you're talking to the person more on an eye-to-eye level and not so much, having to look up at them. So that's something that you can do. If you're tall, you can also get in a sitting position. If you're talking with someone who's shorter in stature, go ahead and sit down and talk with them versus, standing up, if that's something that's even an option at the time. So those are just different things that you can do to help change the perspective. If you can get eye to eye with the person, try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and how they might be feeling. If you look at their facial cues, you look at their body reactions. If you see people sort of tightening up and, kind of have this look in their face like they're a little bit afraid, back up a little bit from them. Try to, change your tone, your voice, and, try to see what it is that's making them. Are you okay? Am I making you feel uncomfortable anyway? Ask them, am I making you feel uncomfortable in any way? Is there something that's bothering you? These are all good things to do. And then you'll find out, maybe they'll tell you, or maybe it'll just ease their discomfort just by you asking, like, oh, like they care about how I'm feeling right now. And just that alone will ease how people feel about you and how they see you. So show respect. Make sure you're listening when people are talking. Try not to overtalk them or out-talk them, because that can make people feel intimidated when they feel like they can't get a word in edgewise with you. That can make people feel like you're not taking them into consideration. So ask questions rather than making demands. Are you available? This is something like, versus telling someone, do this, and that. I need you to do this, and that. You can ask people, are you available? Or when you get a minute, can I talk with you? I need to have this done. And I want to know if you would be able to do that or whatever, so show some kindness, some care and concern. When we can speak with authority, you can speak in an authoritative manner without being demeaning. And that's what you want. You don't want to be demeaning. You don't want to be making demands and making people feel like they don't have a choice in the matter. And maybe they don't. Maybe they don't, because maybe they're your employee and this is what you want them to do. But making people feel like they have a choice in the matter often shows respect, and it shows that you're taking them into consideration. Or, I'm not sure what you're working on, or maybe you're working on this or that, but as soon as you get a minute, I would like for you to refocus your efforts or your energy in this area, right? So there's all kinds of things that we can say that lets people know, I need you to get this done because this is a priority. But I'm not going to make demands and say, stop what you're doing right now, drop what you're doing and get this done, right? So there's a little bit a difference in how we say something. So where we can show respect and show authority without being demeaning or dictative, okay? Check your emotions. When I know that when I tend to get excited or about something or passionate about something, my voice gets louder. I tend to, be maybe more demanding when I want to see something happen. Like, come on, let's get this done. I don't want to wait. You get a little impatient sometimes, all kinds of stuff. So check your emotions, slow down, take a deep breath, lower your tones, slow your words. I know, and I because I know these things about myself. When I'm getting excited, I'm like, okay, let me calm down, let me slow down, because I need for this to come across correctly. So those are different things that we can do. Watch your body gestures. Your body gestures make a big difference. So if you're walking around with your arms folded, or you do a lot of finger points, if your facial expressions tend to be very intense, these are things that you want to be careful of, because that can cause people to feel more intimidated. Hand gestures, how we touch people. If you're a toucher or a grabber, those things can be very intimidating to people. I am a toucher. I do like touch. I think there's power in touch. So I'm not afraid. I often will use that, especially when I worked in healthcare, in dentistry. I would often touch people to calm them down, because it lets people know that it's okay. You're in good hands. I'm with you, right? But we have to be very careful with how and where we touch people. Obviously, we don't want to touch people in their, private, intimate spaces. You don't want to grab people or touch people on their necks. I tend to use this vicinity. So I'll touch people on the side of their shoulder, on the back of their elbow, or just right here on the back of their arm. And you can touch people, on their forearm, and just kind of put your hand on their light touch. There's no grabbing type thing. So these are all things that you can do to help people feel calm, let people know that you're there without making them feel intimidated. Because if you grab a person like this, or put your hand on their neck, that tends to make people feel very uncomfortable. So you can use touch if you're a toucher. Well, probably not now during COVID, but if you are a toucher, you can use touching, but be very careful, with how you touch a person. Lightly touch the back of their arm or their shoulder, the side of their shoulder, or just right here. So other than that, don't touch anything hardly outside of an arm. Don't touch thighs and legs and, backs and all that kind of stuff. So those are safe ways to touch people without them feeling intimidated. Let's see. Now, so let's look at the intimidated. So if you're a person that often feels intimidated, look at yourself. Know your worth. Know that you are worthy, and that because you're your biggest advocator. If you're feeling uncomfortable with something, try to adjust the scene, adjust how the position that you're in, if possible, so that you don't necessarily feel intimidated. If someone is much taller than you, like I said, you can back away from them so that they don't feel like they're towering over you. If you're outside and there's a curb or something that you can stand up on that curb, so that you can be a little more eye to eye level with them. Like I say, you're your biggest advocate, and you deserve as much respect as they do. So, ask for what you want, and don't accept things that don't work for you, as long as it's, within reason, obviously. Let people know what your expectations are of their of respectable behavior. So for instance, I've had to have conversations with people who have tried to be intimidating. I've had supervisors who've tried to be intimidating, towards me, and they'll come and, make demands, or, ask me inappropriate things or whatever. And I'll let them know right away, look, this is who I am. This is how I work. This is what you can expect from me. I let people know upfront, this is what you can expect from me. I'm not the type of person that is, this way or that way. I don't try to hide things. I don't try to, get out of doing things, all that type of stuff. Like, I let people know upfront, the type of person that I am. And then I will turn it around and say, and I hope that you would be willing to show me the same level of respect. So that is something, or extend to me the same courtesy even, right? So that lets people know right away how I am. And then it lets people know how I also like to be treated. So we have to let people know, or be willing to let people know how we like to be treated. Uh-oh, can y'all see me? Are y'all still there? Because it looks like my screen went black on my screen went black. Can someone type in the chat and let me know if y'all still hear me? I hope y'all are there. I don't know. My screen went black on my phone, but I can see me on my computer, so I'm not sure. Okay, well, I will. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, I don't know why my screen went black on my phone. So anyway, speak up for yourself. Let people know what you expect and how you like to be treated and how you are. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bio11 and True Fan. I appreciate that. Stand firm. So don't be, if you're often intimidated by people, stand firm in what you want or what you believe. Don't be so quick to give in or to compromise or to make suggestions for alternatives before you even hear the person out or listen. Good morning, J Luck Blog. How are you this morning? Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So stand firm in what you want, what your desires are, who you are. Stand in your truth. Stand in the facts. Whatever it is. Yes, understanding your boundaries is so important. It is. Create boundaries for yourself. Create boundaries for yourself and stand firm about those boundaries. If someone is crossing a boundary, let them know. So something that I do when I'm feeling intimidated or when someone is making me feel intimidated, because I absolutely have been in that position, is I call them out on their behavior. I'm giving you respect, right? And I'll say to them, I'm giving you respect. I'm listening to you. I have heard what you have said. And I've asked you to do this, or I've asked you not to do that. And you're continuously, doing that. You're continuously doing the very thing that I've asked you not to do. I'm showing you respect. I've given you time to talk. And I would ask that you would give me the same courtesy. Allow me to speak. Allow me to finish what I have to say. Hear me out. Whatever it is, call them out on their behavior. If someone is whatever they're doing that you don't like, I've asked you repeatedly not to call me this or not to say these things in front of me, and yet you continue to do that. Why? Why are you doing the very thing that I've asked you not to do? So calling people out on the things that they're doing makes a big difference often in whether or not they'll be willing, they'll change, because sometimes they do things that they don't even realize they're doing, and their intention may be to not do it, but because they're just, so much of who they are, they don't know how to do it differently. So you have to call them out on it and say, hey, I just asked you not to say that to me, or not to call me, address me in that manner, or, speak to me with that tone, or, whatever it is that they're doing, call them out on it. And that will alert them to what they're doing. And because sometimes they don't even realize that's how they are, that's how they're coming across, because people have just been how they are all their lives. So yeah, call them out on their behavior and repeatedly ask them not to do the thing that you're asking them to do. That's something to work. And then pay attention on both ends. If you're the intimidator or if you're often intimidated, pay attention, because good morning, Mike. How are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Approach is everything. Approach is everything. If you're dealing with someone who intimidates you, or if you're the person who often intimidates others, think about your approach. Pay attention to the person's mood, their stance, their surroundings. If you're dealing with someone who often comes across as intimidating, and if you pay attention to their mood, do they seem like they're in a good mood? Do they seem like they're in a relaxed mood or a calm mood? If the person is already seemingly angry or agitated or irritated, that probably is not the best time to approach them on a matter, because they're going to come across as, being intimidating. especially if you're already fearful of them, somewhat fearful of them. Try to find them when they're sitting down, when they seem calm, when they seem relaxed. Even when I'm talking to, you know, even when I'm talking to my husband, and the more you work with a person or live with a person, you tend to know their moods. Even when I'm talking with my husband, I know that when he first walks in that door from coming home, that is typically not the time to talk with him about anything because he's in, he's in shifting mode where he's coming from work, where, or fight from coming home from fighting traffic. And he tends to be in a lot more irritable mood. So that's typically not the time that I approach him with much of anything. We speak, I let him come in and decompress his day and let him calm down, get relaxed, give him something in his body to calm him down, whatever, something to drink or eat or whatever it is he's needing. And I give him a minute before I start, approaching him with things, because I know that if I, as soon as he walks in that door and I come to him and say something, I might not get the type of response in the tone that I want to get it, that I want to receive it. So learn these things about the people that you work with or live with. Learn their moods, learn, when they're typically in good moods and when they're not, when they're in relaxed modes. If they tend to be a person that, I know some people, when they're around a group of others, they come across as more intimidating. They tend to be more, boastful, all that type of stuff. So you may want to talk to that person when they're alone or by themselves, or set up a private meeting with the person. Take somebody with you if you feel the need to take someone with you, or if they're in an office, make sure the door stays open. All these things to help you not feel intimidated. Common courtesy can make all the difference in how a person comes across or how we come across to others. Hey, Zaya, welcome in this morning. If everyone could, if you haven't hit that like button already, please smash that like button. So approach with caution, carefrontation, be caring and careful in how we approach people, the words that we use, how we say those things, and how we address them in our body language. You're about to go to school today. Awesome. Awesome. You have a phenomenal day at school. Do your best. Do your best, Saya. No one can take away your education from you. So, take in everything that you can, learn what you can, make it a great day. Okay, sweetie? All right. So, pay attention to everything that is going on around the person, around the conversation. Set yourself up for success when it comes to a conversation, especially if it's something that's important to you. Set yourself up for success, and so that you're not so intimidated by people, and that you're not coming across as being intimidating. All right. So that's all I have for you all this morning. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and then I'm going to head out. For those of you who are going to work, for those of you who may be off, for those of you who work from home, whatever it is you're doing, I pray that you all have a phenomenal day. But here, I'll say a quick prayer. Father, thank you, Lord, for watching over us, for keeping us, for protecting us. Lord, we're living in trying times, and we have to work extra hard, especially now during these times, to have good, healthy conversations and with people, so that we're not coming across as intimidating, as uncaring, as if we are not interested in anything about them. Father, we are called to be the light of this world. We're called to show care where people often don't, show concern, show love where people often are not feeling it. So Father, wherever we are coming, in whatever way that we may be coming across as being intimidated or intimidating, reveal that to us. Help us to make adjustments so that we can approach people with love and with the light of your love. Touch every person in this chat, those who will be watching the replay. Be with us as we continue life through these next few days. Keep peace and restore peace in the land, and help us to keep peace among each other. We love you. We thank you. Help us to watch our words and our body gestures and our tone and how we come across. These things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So you all have a phenomenal day. Thank you so much for being here. I will be on tomorrow night at 8:30, and I will have a special guest. This month, we are talking about transition and transformation. So I'm excited about the conversations that we'll be having on Saturday nights. I'm trying to have a guest for you all every Saturday night this month. So if you are not busy tomorrow, Central Standard Time, and from 8:30 to 9:30, I will be on with talking about transition and transformation, people who have gone through major life transitions and transformations. All right. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I will hopefully see you all tomorrow night. Take care. Bye-bye.